Welcome back, everyone, to another episode. Today I want to talk about the Game Boy, this guy right here. The Nintendo Game Boy, released in 1989, and I have very fond memories of this little tiny portable handheld system. It's actually one of the best portable systems in my opinion. I really got so much enjoyment out of this thing, so let's get started. I told a few of these stories before, but I first got my Nintendo Game Boy not actually in 1989. No, I wasn't fortunate enough. But I can't remember if it was myself or Retromat that actually wanted this. We got it for Christmas in about 1993. So yeah, we got it. I wasn't expecting it. I don't think I was expecting it actually as a Christmas present. I wanted like G.I. Joes or something else. And actually, our Game Boy didn't come with like the standard Tetris or Super Mario Land. It came actually with this. I haven't showed you guys this, but it's quite embarrassing actually. Do you remember these things? Fanny packs? They were all the rage back in like the early 90s, late 80s. It came bundled with this. It didn't come with a game. Actually, the game that we actually did get was Batman Return of the Joker, which is an excellent platform game. It's a great Batman game. I mean, there's like, you can pick your own levels, kind of like Mega Man. Good graphics. It's made by Sunsoft, so you damn sure know it's going to have great music. And yeah, I can't remember ever sporting this around town or anything like that. Probably because I was too embarrassed. Even as a kid, I was too embarrassed to wear this. But we usually, kind of strapped it around our shoulder. Well, not really, because that's kind of like a purse. I don't think we did that either. We just kind of held it. So yeah, we had like 3 or 4 games during our peak years, I guess, until later on, actually, when I got back into collecting Game Boy games, all the games I never had. And here's my nice little collection. It's about 40 games, so it's not too big. Yeah, so it's a lot of fun, this Game Boy, eh? Oh, and I want to show you this too. Not only do I have one, but I have two Super Game Boys on the SNES. Played a lot of Pokemon Red on the Super Game Boy, and I actually got another copy of this I got it at a yard sale, and one was for my buddy. I've told the story before, but for those that weren't around to hear it, the first year I actually had the Game Boy, I played this so much. I was at my grandparents' place, and I was pretty much staying there overnight. I was playing this game so much, my aunt, who was over at the time, saw me playing, I think it was Kirby's Dream Land, the first one there on the Game Boy. I played it all day. I would beat it non-stop, but I just kept playing the fucking game. And she actually took this away from me. She said, shut that damn thing off. She came right up to me and just, grabbed it from me, and I was pissed. But that actually isn't the only incident, because I think later on that year, I borrowed Tetris. First time I borrowed Tetris from one of my buddies at elementary school. And during the weekend, I was invited over to my buddy's place, William. And their whole family was French and all that. So we were over there. Retromat and I were staying over the night. So we were like camping out in the backyard. And we were supposed to be telling ghost stories and, reading reading books about, ghost stories and all that shit. Instead, I brought this over, and I smuggled it into the tent, and we were playing Tetris all night, and then, lo and behold, the mom kind of, like, unzips the tent, and is like, what are you doing? Like, swearing, like, yelling at me in French. What are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. And you're supposed to be, reading ghost stories and telling ghost stories and shit like that, and actually took this away from me, and I didn't get it back until the morning, and I was, yet again, pissed off. Just funny little stories like that. Oh man, I always got that Game Boy taken away from me. I guess that just proves how big of a fan I was, of this little portable thing. So okay, here's the setup. It was, I believe, the first year of high school, and the Game Boy Advance just came out. And I've been reading Nintendo Power Magazine at that time, and I was really getting excited for the Game Boy Advance, the original one, the purple thing. And I still didn't like the color scheme to this day. But so I saved up for, I don't know, a couple of paychecks at least to buy one and a game, and I bought the Game Boy Advance as well as Super Dodgeball Advance. And I remember bringing that home, being so happy, playing the shit out of that game, just playing the fucking shit out of that game for hours on end. I remember Mom came home and my stepdad took my brother and I to pick up the Game Boy Advance in the game, and he told mom, and this is what they're up to today and all that, and she was not happy. This was at a time where mom was like, ixnay on the games, no more buying games, no more renting games. We still did anyways, but it was just funny because I remember she just guilt tripped me so bad, and I felt so bad that I think it was like a few days later I got Ken to go with me to pawn it, and I paid like $100 something. I got like $40, and I was just so pissed off, but I felt so bad. I'm such a big fan of the Game Boy that I actually picked up an imported cart, and this is actually my only one I have right now. It's actually Super Chinese Land, and for those of you that don't know, it's actually Kung Fu Heroes, which there was a game on the NES, which I actually have and I loved back then, and it plays exactly the same, dubbed down on the Game Boy, and I'm really happy to own this, because when some friends come over and they see the Game Boy collection, they're like, oh yeah, well, it's okay, I guess. But once I show them like this, it's like, oh, that's pretty fucking wild. I mean, who knew you could play Japanese Game Boy games on your Game Boy, and it's region free. It's not locked like the NES or anything like that, which is fucking sweet. It's something I always loved about the Game Boy. Okay, so games. Let's talk about the meat and potato of the Game Boy. The actual games themselves. I remember playing Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3. I played the shit out of that game. I mean, it's a phenomenal game. I believe I did a review of the game as well. Yeah, phenomenal game. It had the ability to save your game and all that, and that's good because you can get various endings depending on how much treasure you got. The game was all about finding treasure, all the hidden treasures, all the coins and all that. A lot of bonus games. Just the Wario Land games in general just are top-notch stuff. Even better than the Super Mario Land games, number 1 and number 2, definitely. I also remember playing a lot of Mega Man. I believe it's Dr. Wily's Revenge, which is a combination of 1 and 2, I believe, and which was great because, I mean, Mega Man 1 and 2 are awesome. Put it on the Game Boy, it was just fucking sweet-ass game. I'm a huge Mega Man fan. I remember, playing Superstars, WWF Superstars 2, and playing all the various guys and the steel cage matches, and it was just a fun little wrestling game. But Superstars, the first game in the series, was actually a lot better graphically and moveset wise, and it was just a lot more fun to play. You had the interviews, at the beginning of the match and all that. It was really sweet. What else? Mega Man 2 was another game that I used to borrow from my buddy Brandon. Brandon, you guys, I've already mentioned him. It's well documented. We did a lot of gaming, and Mega Man 2 on the Game Boy, we played a shit ton of that, as well as Zelda Link's Awakening, which I still don't have a copy of yet. And it's just something about the Game Boy. I mean, it was just pick up and play. It was awesome. You don't have to go through all these convoluted storylines and all this other bullshit like we do now with the 360 and there's just something simple about the Game Boy. I mean, they were short games. You could beat it in like an hour or two, depending on if you're playing an RPG. Like Final Fantasy Legends, that was another great game. Actually, Brandon had those too, and we played a crap ton of those games. Man, all these titles. But yes, so the Game Boy Rocks right here. This thing, I could gush all day about the fucking Game Boy, but I'll just leave it at that. So to all you guys, thanks for supporting me. Thanks for watching. Keep subscribing. Click the like button below. Comment. I want to know your favorite Game Boy stories. So until we meet again, my friends, take care.